I started studying Chinese medicine in 2013, which is when I was first introduced to the four classics. The Huangdi Jing, which consists of two parts, the Su Wen being the basic questions and the Ling Shu being the spiritual pivot, along with the Wenbing Shui, the Jingui Yaolui, as well as the Shenghan Lun. They are all foundational in the study of traditional Chinese medicine. The Huangdi Jing is written in a dialogue between the Yellow Emperor Huangdi and his physician Qibo, and it covers the theoretical foundations of Chinese medicine, such as physiology, pathology, diagnostics, as well as the principles of preventative medicine. And it is composed, like I said, of two parts, being the Su Wen and the Ling Shu. And the Su Wen the spiritual pivot, the Ling Shu, details primarily acupuncture therapy, meridian channels, and hygiene, whereas the Su Wen focuses more on theory and philosophy. And again, the Ling Shu will go more into practical application of traditional Chinese medicine principles. The author Huang Di reigned during 697 BC, and that was when writing and the bow and arrow came into fruition. Some people believe he was not a real person and that it was many people who wrote this book. The Wenbing Shui, which is the next of the four classics that I'm going to be talking about, introduced the theory of the four levels in traditional Chinese medicine, which I will create a YouTube video on later. The Wenbing Shui was revolutionary of its time. This book was created and, for the first time, addressed the idea that disease could be caused by warm pathogens, that the origin of disease could be heat. And before this, everyone thought that all disease had its origin in an external cold or external wind cold, and that even if disease transmitted internally in the body to heat, that its origins were still of wind cold nature, as stated in the Shenghan Lun. When this book came out, it introduced the concept that diseases caused by wind heat was real, and the four levels, which I, again, will discuss later, were used to treat these febrile diseases. And that the viral infections like influenza, COVID, bacterial infections, strep, throat, typhoid fever, skin abscesses, parasitic infections like malaria, all of these, the book focuses on theory, diagnosis, and treatment for these acute febrile diseases. And it's really important because the people at that time saw that these diseases were different and that they would travel and jump around so quickly and in not a normal progression of pathology, and especially in elderly and infants, that these fevers could take people out in such a short time frame. So the introduction of a way to treat these febrile diseases, infectious diseases, were revolutionary. This book talks about the theory of yin and yang, 5 elements, anatomy and physiology, diagnosis, and prevention of disease. And it's important to note that the Wenbing pathology typically enters through the nose or mouth and is seasonal in nature, so kind of traveling through some sort of element, whether it be wind, summer heat, dampness, dryness, and penetrating the body that way. And because the patient's condition tends to develop so rapidly and have such a strong tendency to injure yin, or the substance of the body, the prevention of the disease or diseases were very important. And the 4 levels, which I will again discuss later, goes into great detail in this treatment. And the last of the 4 classics that I'll be speaking about in this video is the Shenghan Lun, and it is called the Shenghan Lun, or the Treatise on Cold Damage, written by Zhang Zhongjing, and it has over 269 prescriptions that were actually created by him in his own experience, as well as medical professionals before his time, that he added to the book, and it's still used to this day in modern practice. It focuses on diseases that are caused by external cold pathogens, and it uses the 6-stage diagnostic system in Chinese medicine to diagnose and treat these diseases. The 6 stages are very complex theory, and I will do a YouTube video on them later, but it's the idea that the disease can sort of jump around in a very unpredictable, mischievous type way in the body, and how a good doctor can, through knowing these signs and symptoms and memorizing them from the Shenghan Lun, can remember and be able to eye them out and prevent them from further progressing into the body or from occurring at all. And even more importantly, preventing them altogether. And if you want to find out about the Jingui Yaolui, the last of the 4 classics of the traditional Chinese medicine text, then go check out my YouTube channel where I posted a video on that, and subscribe to get updates on all my latest content. Here, I want to end this video by reading an excerpt from the Huangdi Neijing Su Wen, Chapter 1, Page 1, The Universal Truth. And it's a dialogue between Huangdi and Qibo. Their first discussion began with Huangdi inquiring, "I've heard that in the days of old, everyone lived for 100 years without showing the usual signs of aging. In our time, however, people age prematurely, living only 50 years. Is this due to a change in the environment, or is it because people have lost the way of life, the correct way of life?" Qibo replied, "In the past, people practiced the Tao, the way of life. They understood the principle of balance, of yin and yang, as represented by the transformation of the energies of the universe. Thus, they formulated practices such as Daoyin, an exercise combining stretching, massage, and breathing to promote energy flow, and meditation to help maintain and harmonize themselves with the universe. They ate a balanced diet at regular times, arose and retired at regular hours and minds, and refrained from overindulgence of all kinds. They maintained well-being of body and mind. Thus, it is not surprising that they lived over 100 years. These days, people have changed their way of life. They drink wine as though it were water, indulge excessively in destructive activities, drain their jing, the body's essence that is stored in the kidneys, and deplete their qi. They do not know the secret of conserving their energy and vitality. Seeking emotional excitement and momentary pleasures, people disregard the natural rhythm and order of the universe. They fail to regulate their lifestyle and sleep improperly, so it is not surprising that they look old at 50 and die soon after. The accomplished ones of ancient times advised people to guard themselves against Zeifeng, disease-causing factors. On the mental level, one should remain calm and avoid excessive desires and fantasies, recognizing and maintaining the natural purity and clarity of the mind. When internal energies are able to circulate smoothly and freely, and the energy of the mind is not scattered, but it is focused and concentrated, illness and disease can be avoided. Previously, people led a calm and honest existence, detached from undue desire and ambition. They lived with an untainted conscience and without fear. They were active but never depleted themselves. Because they lived simply, these individuals knew contentment, as reflected in their diet of basic but nourishing foods, and an attire that was appropriate to the season but never luxurious. Since they were happy with their position in life, they did not feel jealousy or greed. They had compassion for others and were helpful and honest, free from destructive habits. They remained unshakable and unswayed by temptations, and they were able to stay centered even when adversity arose. They treated others justly, regardless of their level of intelligence or social position.